Hello there, and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the mayor of Oklahoma City. Glad you're with us for this first show in the year 2012. In this first segment, we're going to visit with Darnell Mayberry of the Oklahoman. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you.
Darnell is the beat writer and columnist for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we are taping this show just as the season begins. And so there's a possibility that sometimes a conversation in an ongoing season can become dated, but we will do the best we can. And there's so much to talk about from the off season that I think is still going to be appropriate to discuss here in the early days of the season. So first of all, the off season was like none other that I can remember. What's your perceptions of how the NBA's off season went? I'm not talking necessarily about the labor negotiations, but just the off season in general.
I think the thing that really surprised a lot of people locally here was Kevin Durant and his performance and all these different charity games. He really showed a different level of fan what he's capable of, going to these parks, going to these local gyms in the communities, and really taking his game to the streets, if you will, and showing off his skills. So I think he really got a lot of points for what he was able to do on the sort of summer circuit that NBA guys normally don't do. So that was a thing I think locally that really stood out to people.
NBA stars are ever evolving, and we've been in this Kobe and LeBron era. Now Nowitzki wins the title, so he elevates himself at least temporarily. But Kevin is inching into that upper echelon very, very quickly. And sometimes I think people in Oklahoma City don't necessarily have a good perception of that. But when I travel, and I'm sure you hear it from people across the country, Kevin Durant's name, as far as NBA watchers goes, is at the top of the list.
No doubt about it. I mean, if you look at some of the things he's been able to do just in his first 4 years in the NBA, he's gone to China, he's gone to the Philippines, and he's just as big a star over there as he is here. And, as we've talked about in the past, the good thing for Oklahoma City is he's taken Oklahoma City's brand over to China with him, over to the Philippines with him. So to see him do what he's able to do over there in those countries, it's just amazing to see. And then you realize he's only a 23-year-old guy, still a young man, but incredibly mature, and he carries himself well. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, he went to the Great Wall and put on a clinic at the Great Wall of China, and they had this huge poster of Kevin Durant at the Great Wall of China, and it's just incredible to see how far he's come so fast.
You have an opportunity to see him a lot because you're so close to the players. What type of person is he when he's not on the court and he's not in the public eye?
Well, he's just sort of a laid-back 23-year-old. He's easygoing, extremely mellow. Just likes to have fun. I think he's sort of your guy next door, just the average guy. He likes to play video games, things that 23-year-olds do. Listens to music. He's got a recording studio in his house, so he likes to record music. So I think he just likes to have fun with his friends, and he's sort of your normal guy.
Mm-hmm. And the flag football game that he got involved with in Stillwater, that seemed to, I think, sing to a lot of people that this was not your ordinary superstar.
Right. I mean, Kevin Durant is a guy who you heard stories about in Seattle when he was a rookie. He would let kids come to his home and play video games with him. He'd just open his door up to kids in the neighborhood, and he'd welcome them in to play video games. He's not your average superstar, NBA superstar for sure, and some of the things he does, it's amazing to see, and you don't really see that throughout a lot of guys, throughout the NBA with a lot of guys. Take my word for it.
In the off season, I wound up doing, I think, more media than would be typical, largely because there's so many people that couldn't or wouldn't talk, and I had, no such stipulation, so I was doing some media, international media. And invariably, a question that would be thrown at me after I'd given my opinions on the work stoppage was, can Kevin and Russell coexist? Meaning, can Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant share the court? Or is there going to be two egos or too many shots going up? Or is Russell going to be the point guard, or is he going to be the shooting guard? And so your perception of that, can the two of them coexist on the same team?
I think so. I think what we saw last year, certainly, especially in the playoffs, was two young guys trying to learn how to play not only together, but learn how to play in the NBA. You're looking at a third-year guy and a fourth-year guy who are trying to figure out their way in this league, and all of a sudden They're thrown into this spotlight of the NBA playoffs and the Western Conference Finals. Not a lot of 23-year-old guys, 22 at the time, not a lot of 22-year-old guys are in that position. So unfortunately, but fortunately, they got to be in that position, but everyone was watching. The whole world was watching them. I think they just have to learn how to play together, and once they do that, they're going to be an incredible duo.
Do you feel that the Thunder management is comfortable with Russell Westbrook's style of point guard play? Do you think they wish he were more of a typical point guard, or do you think they're very comfortable with the fact that he slashes and goes to the basket and puts a lot of weight on his own shoulders?
I think they're very comfortable with the style of play that he brings to the table. If you look around the league, there are a lot of scoring point guards out there. Chris Paul, he's one of the best passers in the game, but also, he can score 20 points, 25 points on any given night. And, his teams have relied on him to score that much for them to be successful. Russell Westbrook is in that same mold. I mean, you look at Derrick Rose, he just won the MVP last year, and he's one of the best scorers in this league. So I think the game is evolving to that point where point guards now take on much more of the scoring load.
Okay. What about the other positions on the court?
Well, you got a lot of talent on this team. I think James Harden is a guy who we're really looking to see, how he's going to take the next step. Serge Ibaka, he can fall into that category as well. Kendrick Perkins is a guy who lost an enormous amount of weight on the offseason. 31 pounds he shed. So he's going to come in and I think give this team something different that we didn't see last year in terms of low post defense and a physical presence down low.
The term wide body was always applied to him.
Yeah.
Is it going to be applied to him this year?
Well, he's no longer wide. He's a slim Kendrick Perkins now, and but he says he hasn't lost his strength, so that's important. He's still physical down there. He's still strong and able to move some guys around. So I think the team is expecting a lot from Kendrick Perkins this year.
And the bench?
The bench, I think, is one of the best in the league. You look at James Harden, if he continues to come off the bench, I predicted him to win Sixth Man of the Year this year. I think he's got a legitimate shot to be right there in the thick of it. Eric Maynor, one of the best point guards, backup point guards in the league. I think he's incredibly sturdy, and he has just a steady hand coming off the bench. A nice change of pace from Russell Westbrook. And then Nick Collison, what he does defensively, it just wows you. The fact that he's able to draw charges and really anchor the defense a different way. So I think this bench is going to be one of the better ones in the league again.
It has appeared the last few years that the Western Conference has been a little deeper and stronger than the Eastern Conference. Is it evening out any, or do you still think the Western Conference is the stronger of the two?
No, I think it's definitely shifting. If it hasn't already, you have big trades last year that really shifted the balance of power. Carmelo Anthony going from Denver to New York, Darren Williams going from Utah to New Jersey. A lot of these guys are trying to team up with each other now, and I think the balance of power now rests in the East with LeBron James and the Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade and those guys, the Knicks, as I mentioned earlier. If Dwight Howard, who knows what's going to happen there. But, I think the East really has a lot of talent right now.
Another NBA star that's emerging is Blake Griffin, and who's from Oklahoma City. The Clippers are ascending. If you're looking for trends, I think Blake Griffin's career and the Clippers as a team is kind of an emerging level of interest.
Definitely, especially around here where you have Chris Paul now on the Los Angeles Clippers, him sort of being the first favorite son in Oklahoma City's NBA history, with the Hornets temporarily relocating here after Hurricane Katrina. Now you have Blake Griffin, the former standout at OU, as you mentioned. That's going to be an incredibly fun team to watch this year. People are already calling them the Lob Angeles Clippers because of all the alley-oops. So that's going to be a real fun team to watch this year. And, finally they've brought some respectability to L.A. All
right. Darnell Mayberry is a beat writer and columnist for the Oklahoman. He covers the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we're appreciative of your time today on the Mayor's Magazine.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And the Thunder, of course, plays at the Chesapeake Energy Arena. Hope you can get out and support our team this year. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine when we return.
Did you know 1/3 of an average landfill is made up of packaging material? Why be part of the problem? Recycling is as easy as rinsing and throwing. No need to sort. Set out the little blue bin on your regular trash day. Now it even pays to recycle. Each week, one lucky Oklahoma City resident will win $100 just for setting out their little blue bin full of the proper recyclable materials. Be part of the solution. Start recycling today.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. In this segment, we're going to learn more about Allied Arts and the 2012 effort. James Pickle and Tricia Everst are here. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you.
Glad you're with us. Well, this is a big assignment.
This is a large assignment.
But for a very worthy cause. And why don't you talk first, Tricia, about Allied Arts and the goals and responsibilities of the organization.
Well, Allied Arts was founded in 1971, and for the last 40 years has been completely committed to improving the quality of arts for all of Oklahoma City and surrounding areas. It helps promote 20 different agencies. It helps promote into the schools. Over 265,000 of our little kids get to benefit from different programs that Allied Arts helps support and encourage and sponsor. So the campaign is far-reaching into the different ways that it helps our city.
And James, it really serves a purpose for people that want to support the arts, but it's just that assignment is just too large. Yes. And Allied Arts is a great funneling focus for the funding to know where it's necessary and what Oklahoma City needs to move forward and provide the arts necessary.
Absolutely. Allied Arts, its sole mission is fundraising. Now, along with that comes the fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the dollars they allocate to the arts community are being spent well. We raise the hard dollars for the arts groups, and those are the operating dollars. Mm-hmm. It's easier for arts agencies to raise money for projects, for programs, things like that. People, corporations, individuals, they seem to be more willing to give money to like the Festival of the Arts, or a concert series for the Philharmonic, or a ballet, or a program, a project. But when it comes to the agencies needing money to pay the rent, pay the bills, do things, the operating costs to keep them in business, those are the hard dollars. Mm-hmm. And that's what Allied Arts dedicates itself to raising. And
is the Allied Arts consistently pushing for efficiencies at these organizations?
Absolutely. We have an allocation process, and all 20 agencies that we support go through a pretty rigorous financial review. They come in front of a committee and tell us what they're doing, their pros and their cons. We have a process that evaluates them on a regular basis to where we know when an agency is in trouble. And when they're in trouble, they kind of go on probation, and it's harder to get money from us until they get their ship in order.
And the level of the arts has improved dramatically in the last 10 years.
Oh, tremendously.
And I don't necessarily think that the general public is because it inches up.
Yes.
Every year it gets a little bit better.
Yes.
And it's not like, though, when you stamp the Thunder in Oklahoma City and it kind of arrives as a sports complex, or you build the Museum of Art across the street from City Hall and suddenly that aspect of the arts seems to fully be addressed. The performing arts just incrementally have gotten better year after year after year.
I think the local population is expecting it to get better. Oklahoma City is growing in lots of areas. I mean, even when you have the Thunder that moves here, they expect certain things in their community. And one of those major categories is they want a vibrant, rich cultural community. Mm-hmm. They want to see good exhibits at the museums. They want wonderful festivals. They want the educational opportunities for their kids. And you don't get those educational opportunities in schools anymore.
I'm going through my notes here. 40-year history of Allied Arts has raised more than $45 million. That's amazing. And, of course, the amount of money that it takes to support the arts in this community ever gets larger and larger. So tell me about the fundraising aspects of this, Tricia.
Well, as James says, Allied Arts is here for fundraising purposes. And this year we've set a wonderful goal of $3 million to be able to provide even more assets to not only our 20 agencies, but the different groups that we also provide special grants to, or special projects that we're involved with. I couldn't have a better chairman of the campaign, who is also chairman of the board, which helps. And then we have a wonderful staff at Allied Arts and a wonderful committee and numbers and numbers of volunteers who help with our efforts.
If people want to volunteer, what should they do?
They should contact Allied Arts.
Yes, we have a website. It's alliedertsokc.com. The phone number is 278-8944. We're always looking for volunteers, and we would welcome anybody who would want to participate.
And tell me more about the school kids that get involved because of Allied Arts and the over 200,000 kids that benefit. How is that? How are they brought into the equation?
Almost every one of our agencies has an arts education component. The City Arts Center, the Arts Council, the Philharmonic, the Ballet. All of these groups are reaching out to people who may not have access to the arts. Some are learning to act with children's theater. Some are learning how to do visual arts, painting, the sculpting classes, all of these things. We know that not every person who wants to experience that part of the arts can afford it or even have the opportunity to know where to go. Well, it's a huge part of Allied Arts' mission for all of the agencies to reach out to the community. We have adult classes, we have classes for children. We get thank you letters all the time from kids thanking Allied Arts for providing money to these agencies so that they can have the opportunity to experience the arts. I think those of us in our generation had the opportunity to be involved in the arts, usually through school, and that's not a given today. It's not a big opportunity these days. So we're seeing the arts funding being challenged at the federal level, the state level, and Allied Arts is trying to raise even more money to help keep the arts prominent and available to kids and adults who want to learn more about the arts.
Arts are very important to the job creation aspects. When companies look to create new jobs here, there's a level of expectation there. But additionally, there's tourism dollars that are generated from the arts. When people visit Oklahoma City, they want to know what there is to do, and the arts are 24/7, 365 days a year. So some examples of that, Tricia, that tourists, when they visit Oklahoma City, get to see the arts that our citizens get to see every day.
Well, I've seen some of our new tourists that come and look at the wonderful, beautiful Myriad Gardens that have been renovated. We've got Shakespeare in the Park. As you walk by and you look down and you see all the different acting, you can walk into the Oklahoma City Museum across the street from town, from City Hall, and see kids in various projects learning how to do different things just through that mechanism, or some of the things that I see when I walk around proudly.
Well, Passages that just happened at the Museum of Art, huge tourism draw. The Cowboy constantly is having world-class shows. It's what most people don't realize is they're being touched by the arts every day. I mean, if they're listening to the radio or if they're watching something on TV, I mean, they're listening to artists and they're watching artists. We're seeing the athletes that are coming to our community. A lot of them have a background in the arts. You probably have had an exposure to the arts, and we just want everybody to realize they are being touched by the arts. Our economy is influenced by the arts. Everything we do every day, the arts are involved. You don't have to have a coat and tie on to be involved in the arts. You don't have to be an artist to be involved in the arts. It's impacting every one of us every day, and we think everybody needs to get behind it and support it.
All right. James Pickle and Tricia Evers, co-chairs of the 2012 Allied Arts Campaign. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
And a reminder and thank you to those who have already given generously to Allied Arts, and an encouragement for you to give. And if you're in a position to volunteer, they'd love to hear from you too. We'll put the website at the bottom of the screen, and I hope you'll contact them and get involved, as the arts are extremely important to the vitality of Oklahoma City. We'll be back with more of the Mayor's Magazine right after this. Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. In this segment, we're going to learn more about the Oklahoma City Skydance Bridge, which is now over the new relocated Interstate 40. And with me, we have Hans Butzer and Stan Carroll. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
They are the co-designers of this project, and Hans is also, the project manager, or one of the project managers to it as well. But this has been several years in the making, and it has finally emerged as an altering image for Oklahoma City skyline and a lasting impression, I'm sure, on anybody who's traveling across I-40. So first of all, congratulations on the design and the construction and getting it into place, because I know a lot of hours went into this.
4 long years, labor of love. It's been terrific. So.
Well, go back to the design process when you had this sort of blank canvas and an opportunity to offer a suggestion in this open competition we had for the design. What were you thinking? What were the initial light bulbs that went off about what could be done?
Well, it was your letter actually that inspired us. You talked about this idea of something being iconic and something being symbolic, that spoke of the values and the future of Oklahoma City. And, that kind of led us down this path of investigating, what are the great things about this place and the landscape in which we live, and came across the scissortail flycatcher, which had recently been issued on our state quarter, and discovered that the scissortail flycatcher kind of offered us some lessons from which we could learn about engineering and responsiveness and efficiency. And the team pretty much began to explore that and took it to new heights.
Literally. How does a designer decide how large to make something? I mean, if you want it to be iconic, what are the other bits of data that you gather before you decide the appropriate size?
There's a funny story, because when we first brought out the first time we saw the first scheme that really resembles what we ended up with, we uncovered it and we're looking at it in a team meeting, and Hans asked, well, how tall is that? And I said, well, I don't know. Let's measure it. So it's really a deal, about the feel and what proportionally works with the existing context and things. So it's really kind of a gut feel, an artistic eye that you start to kind of modulate the scale relative to the surrounding context. So.
And it started out actually at 125 feet. And after every meeting or so and sketching, it got a little taller and a little taller. And it's topping out now at 195 feet above the roadbed.
Yeah, design creep.
Yeah, just under the height requiring FAA lights.
Are you concerned as a designer about how it looks at different angles, or are you only concerned about I-40s and the cars, what they're going to see? So how did you take that into consideration?
We really always consider it from every angle, from far away, from near, close up, from underneath, looking upward, from the park, looking back toward the bird, from every angle, really, from top down, and everything is considered pretty extensively in order to kind of conclude that we're moving in the right direction.
And the sunlight and how that's going to interact on a daily basis, how did that play into it?
Well, the feathers are probably the key element of this design, that were our way of kind of engaging the air and the light. And Stan has this brilliant talent of manipulating this software called Rhinoceros. And he was able to create this very complex computer script that allowed us to manipulate these stainless steel feathers in such a way that is going to create this moire effect of dazzling reflections throughout the day. But one of the things we had to make sure of was that the reflections would not blind motorists. And so again, the software that he was using allowed us to test all those things.
As well as extensive material analysis. We did a lot of samples of a lot of different materials, put different finishes on them to see what kind of reflections they'd achieve, and wrapping all those things into the overall goal was really at the core of the effort.
When was the idea of lighting it and making the lights on it become such an important aspect of it? When did that come, early or later?
I think we'd always envisioned that lighting is such a powerful medium.
Well, I think I always knew it would be lit, but I don't know that I thought it would light up. I guess that was there was a day when I realized that it was going to emit light as opposed to just being illuminated.
Right. I think that was part of the equation of the feathers. When we incorporated the feathers into the context, it immediately began offering the opportunity to light from within versus a more traditional sculptural light, which is usually from without. So really, I think once the feathers were generated, that really led us into the potential that it could reveal.
Mm-hmm. Along the process, what'd you learn? Working with government, working with the Department of Transportation, trying to build on a road that's being constructed below you, there had to be some lessons learned here and advice you can hand off to other people who might take on a project like this someday.
I think there's going to be a book in the making. Actually, there are a lot of lessons, and one of many might be that sometimes it's beher not to know what lies ahead, but rather to have this kind of sense of excitement, euphoria, and to focus on the potential of things. We had to work very hard to keep everyone focused on this prize, and obviously it's worked out beautifully. But the other lesson that might be learned too is that I think we ended up picking the right metaphor, the scissor-tail flycatcher, because the thing about its beauty and the way it's evolved with these long spiky feathers is that it was all about having to react to different forces of the wind. And this project is very much about the design team, the city, and other parts of our client structure to have to keep reacting to the shifting landscape of the amount of money that was available, the time schedules, the site construction constraints.
Mm-hmm. And does this mean this is the end of designs for public service, or do you think in the future there'll be other contests and entries you guys want to make?
Oh, I think this is the first of many. It's the way I'm sure you share the same. This has been the most exciting project of my career personally, and after 25 years of other wonderful projects, this has just really been a pinnacle, and hope to just soar beyond this. So,
talk a little bit about the lights and what their capabilities are.
Well, the lighting that we've identified is all LED. The entire bridge is all lit by LED, which allows us to save money, but at the same time, it gives us the versatility of using computer-controlled lights to achieve every single color in the spectrum effectively. And so, as Stan mentioned earlier, we've always wished for the Skydance Bridge to kind of change its character, its mood. And so we're really excited about the fact that with this lighting system, we can use the Skydance Bridge to celebrate the red, white, and blue of July 4th, the NBA championship of the Thunder with the Thunder blue and orange, whether it's Christmas or just, any holiday or just pure white happiness and purity. We can achieve all of that with this design.
Well, there are multiple aspects to this project. Obviously, there's the I-40 impact and leaving that positive impression on the hundreds of thousands of people who will traverse. But then there's the idea that when the park is completed and the pedestrian bridge is more widely used, you'll be able to see it from a whole different experience. And so it's going to get multiple uses, but no question be an iconic feature of our city for a long, long time. So congratulations on your work, and it's been beautiful to watch this thing take place over the last few years.
Well, thank you.
And I know our citizens are going to enjoy it very much. That's going to do it for this edition of the Mayor's Magazine. We're so glad you joined us here. And so get out and support the Thunder, support Allied Arts, and especially get out and take a look at that beautiful Oklahoma City Skydance Bridge. I'm Mick Cornett. I'll see you next month with another show.
We'll get you moving.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have more energy to do the things you like to do.
So be a player.
Get up, play, and move it your way.
Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov. That's www.letsmove.gov.
I am one of 4,000 artists who receive support
from Allied Arts.
I am
an Allied artist.
I'm Lee Criswell with Street Maintenance. Help us while we repair your city streets. Please slow down and be alert in all work zones.